I'd like to make a plea to all you people to help us find our boys.
In 1951, in North Minneapolis, 3 young brothers, Danny, David, and Kenneth Klein, disappeared while visiting a local park in Hawthorne. The details of what happened to them remain a mystery, leaving everyone in the dark about the events of that day. Let's dive into some of the details of the incident. Jack Elh High's recent investigative book, The Lost Brothers, A Family's Decades-Long Search, delves into the mysterious details surrounding the case. The accompanying podcast, Long Lost on TPT, chronicles the family's relentless quest for answers regarding the disappearance of the 3 boys. As November 10th approaches, marking the 68th anniversary of the boys' Vanishing act, the 4 remaining brothers, who persist in the search initiated by their late parents, find themselves another year without the closure they seek. The enduring mystery of the missing boys continues to cast a shadow over the family's ongoing efforts to unravel the truth. The Klein story dates back to 1951, but it wasn't until November 1997 that Jack Elh High's attention was captured. A classified ad in the Sunday Star Tribune caught his eye, seeking information about the disappearance of Kenneth Jr., David, and Danny Klein on November 10, 1951. The ad included a simple plea and a phone number prompting Elh High to make the call. Taking a drive to Monticello, he met with Kenneth Sr. and Betty Klein, the parents who had been searching relentlessly for their missing boys. The meeting left an indelible mark on Elh High, describing it as an extraordinary, emotional, and remarkable story that stood out from anything he had encountered before. This encounter served as the starting point for Elh High's deep dive into the decades-long search undertaken by the Kleins, ultimately leading to the creation of his investigative book and podcast.
The day the boys went missing, it was November 10th in 1951.
I should have went with them. I know that. I mean, there's no way to get around that.
She says, "Oh my God, these boys are missing." So they all went down there looking, no sign of them. And there hasn't been a sign of them since.
3 kids missing, so there's a family of 6, and then instantly it's cut in half, and now you only have 3. You know, and where did these boys go? They went somewhere.
I'd like to make a plea to all you people to help us find our boys. If you just look everywhere, no matter where it is, just look everywhere. In your basements, in your attics, any place, they could be there.
I'm Jack Elh High, and this is Long Lost, a new investigative history series from Twin Cities PBS.
On a Saturday afternoon, the 3 youngest Klein boys, aged 4, 6, and 8, embarked on a trip to Fairview Park, just a short distance from their home in the Hawthorne neighborhood. The boys left home, ran down the sidewalk toward the park, and nobody ever saw them again, recounts Elh High. During that time, it was customary for the police to wait 24 hours before initiating a missing person search. Despite employing various tactics, there were few results. A tracking dog, following a sinuous path, led its trainer on a journey of about 7 miles before halting near the west bank of the Mississippi River, close to the Lowry Avenue Bridge. This was the closest they came to tracing the boys' trail. However, nothing was discovered along the riverbank, and the assumption arose that the 3 brothers might have drowned in the ice-covered current. Elh High notes that later on the police found a couple of the boys' caps atop the ice downstream, slightly beyond the end of the tracked trail. This discovery added to the mystery surrounding the disappearance of the Klein brothers. Merely 5 days after the disappearance, the Minneapolis Police Department closed the case, asserting that the 3 young boys had drowned in the river. Elh High points out, other than the dog track and the caps, there was no evidence that the boys had drowned or had ever been at the river. No bodies ever turned up. He emphasizes the perplexity surrounding the situation, stating, "You would expect at least one body to turn up if all 3 had drowned." And so, the parents were not satisfied with this conclusion, and for the rest of their lives, continued searching on their own.
They had an airplane searching for the boys and said that it was just optimum conditions, that the river, the visibility was perfect.
My knowledge was that if a person drowns, the body surfaces All three bodies should have come up if they were in the river.
They did close the case and say they drowned in the river after about 5 days.
I know they wouldn't have went anywhere without me. They sure wouldn't have went to the river, I can tell you that.
There's family there that are still pursuing and still wanting an answer. Where did these boys go? They went somewhere.
I'd like to make a plea to all you people to help us find our boys.
In the subsequent years, the Klein family sought additional assistance from government officials, and the FBI enlisted the services of a private investigator and even consulted psychics. Elh High notes, they even had photos of the boys' age progressed and put on posters that they distributed or had friends and family distribute at truck stops all around the country. The family's persistent efforts to find the missing brothers reflect their enduring quest for answers and closure. As a freelance writer in the late 90s, Elh High crafted a story about the Klein brothers' disappearance for Minnesota Monthly, capturing the attention of many locals. However, as is often the case, the initial surge of interest waned without yielding any substantial results. Into the early 2000s, Betty and Kenneth Sr., the parents, passed away, transferring the mantle of the search to their 4 remaining children. Gordon, older than the 3 missing boys, didn't accompany them on that fateful park trip. The younger Klein brothers, born after the disappearance, now bore the weight of continuing the quest for answers. Elh High maintained sporadic contact with the Klein family after his initial article, but years passed without any updates. At the age of 50, he pursued an MFA in creative writing from Bennington College in Vermont through a remote program that allowed him to stay in his adopted home state. During the 2000s, he delved into his first nonfiction books with titles like Lost Minnesota and The Lobotomist. This journey of unraveling the Klein brothers' mysterious disappearance spans decades, involving multiple generations of the family and revealing the enduring impact such an inexplicable loss has on those left behind. Many years had passed when Elh High got an email from a Wright County Sheriff's deputy about 7 years ago, sparking a revival of the Klein case. Deputies Jessica Miller and Lance Sauls, who had met the Kleins by chance, became deeply interested in their story and voluntarily devoted their time to the investigation. Intrigued by their commitment, Elh High, along with the deputies, delved into the case, drawing upon the wealth of information he had gathered over the years. The Wright County deputies conducted an extensive investigation, compiling a list of suspects and providing valuable recommendations for the way forward. According to Elh High, their efforts surpassed what the Minneapolis police could achieve in 1951, significantly propelling the case forward. Now they face a larger roadblock. It's an orphan case, Elh High says. The Minneapolis police closed the case in under a week. After their involvement, the FBI also backed out of the case. The Wright County officers can't officially investigate the disappearance because the original site is outside their jurisdiction. The Minneapolis police are not going to reopen it unless there's very compelling evidence, new evidence, or a reason to think of the case differently than the police did all those years ago, Elh High says. There's no police agency that will accept the claim. Despite the diligent efforts of the Wright County deputies, the Klein case currently faces a challenge, finding a police force willing to take it on. While the siblings, now residing in the county, call for action, the case remains an orphan in search of a dedicated home. Looking back 68 years, the possibility of a kidnapping likely never crossed the minds of the police handling the disappearance. Even the boys' parents didn't entertain the notion until weeks after the initial investigation concluded. According to Elh High, during that time, abductions were perhaps less common and certainly less known about. The absence of evidence linking the boys to the river left lingering questions and fueled the mystery surrounding their disappearance. The Klein case existed in a time when public awareness of kidnappings was limited, not entering the public consciousness until cases like Jacob Wetterling's emerged in the following decades. Despite the passage of time, new compelling evidence has not surfaced to reopen the Klein case. Elh High expresses his hope that by writing the book and developing the podcast, they might unearth someone with memories or information, even second or third hand, that could shed light on the decades-old mystery.
We're going to continue this as a podcast going forward in the future, and that can become part of the story. It's a story without yet a final shape, and the shape will take form as we continue working on it. It's very exciting and intriguing, and it has great possibilities for the family.
You're writing a book as well.
I am writing a book for University of Minnesota Press that'll be published next year.
I hope that there's some break in this case or some clue that leads to it being reopened with the Minneapolis Police Department and then having something come from it.
Yeah, and there are some leads that can make a break. Something can happen, right. And I hope will.
Jack, thanks so much.
Thanks, Kathy.
Good luck.
Interestingly, the suspects identified by the Wright County deputies all rest in cemeteries, making a conviction unlikely if the investigation were to be reopened. However, the goal wouldn't necessarily be to bring a kidnapper to justice, but rather to provide some form of conclusion for the Klein family. Elh High reflects on the family's belief that the boys were abducted and emphasizes that while achieving closure might be challenging, a resolution would significantly aid the family in coping with the enduring uncertainty. With this, we would like to end this video, with the hope that you liked and enjoyed it. If you like our content, make sure that you like our video. And do share your views and opinions with us in the comment section below.